There comes a moment in life when you realize something uncomfortable. Not everyone deserves access to your thoughts, your plans, your struggles. And that realization, it's not arrogance, it's maturity. Focusing on yourself is not selfish. It is necessary. Because the truth is, the world will always have opinions. People will always talk. Some will doubt you, some will misunderstand you, and some will even criticize paths they never had the courage to walk themselves. If you spend your life reacting to every voice, you will lose your own. And this is where silence becomes your greatest ally. Silence is not about suppressing yourself. It's about choosing peace over unnecessary explanation. You don't need to announce every move. You don't need to defend every decision. When you are truly focused, you don't have time to prove anything to anyone. Think about it. The most powerful transformations happen quietly. A seed grows underground before it ever breaks the surface. In the same way, your growth doesn't need applause while it's happening. It needs patience, discipline, and consistency. When you stay silent, you protect your energy. And energy is everything. Every argument you avoid, every unnecessary explanation you skip, every negative voice you ignore, you are saving strength for something greater. Your goals, your purpose, your future. But let's be honest, staying silent is not easy. Sometimes you want to respond. Sometimes you want to prove people wrong. Sometimes you want to shout, "You don't understand me." But here is the lesson. Not every battle deserves your attention. Not every opinion deserves your reaction. You win in life not by speaking louder, but by becoming stronger. Focus on improving yourself every single day. Learn something new. Build something meaningful. Strengthen your mindset. Because when you are busy becoming better, you naturally become less interested in unnecessary noise. And one day, something powerful will happen. The same people who doubted you will notice your progress. The same voices that questioned you will fall silent. Not because you argued with them, but because your results spoke so loudly, they had nothing left to say. That is the beauty of quiet growth. So focus on yourself, not out of ego, but out of purpose. Stay silent. Not out of fear, but out of strength. And remember this, you don't need to tell your story to everyone. Just make sure you are writing a story worth telling. Because in the end, the loudest proof of your success will never be your words. It will be your life. Listen carefully, because this is where most people lose themselves without even realizing it. You start living your life based on what others think, what they expect, what they approve of, and slowly, silently, you disappear. Not physically, but internally. Your confidence weakens, your direction becomes blurry, and suddenly you're no longer chasing your dreams, you're chasing validation. And let me tell you something directly, validation is a dangerous addiction. The more you seek it, the more control you give away. You post something and you wait. Did people like it? You make a decision and you hesitate. What will they say? You want to try something new, but fear stops you. What if they judge me? And just like that, your life is no longer yours. It belongs to the opinions of others. But here's the truth that can change everything. People are too busy living their own lives to think about you as much as you think they do. Yes, they might comment, they might react for a moment, but then they move on. And you're the one carrying that weight for days, weeks, even years. Why? Why give that much power to voices that are temporary? Focusing on yourself means taking that power back. It means saying, my worth is not determined by applause or criticism. It means understanding that your journey is personal. Nobody knows your struggles like you do. Nobody understands your vision the way you do. So why are you asking for permission from people who aren't even walking your path? You don't need approval to grow. You need commitment. You need discipline. You need the courage to look at yourself honestly and say, I can be better, and I will work for it. That's where real confidence comes from, not from compliments, but from progress. And yes, it will feel uncomfortable at first. When you stop seeking validation, it can feel like something is missing. That little rush of approval, that quick reassurance it won't be there. But what replaces it is something far more powerful, self-respect. The kind that doesn't depend on anyone else. The kind that stays even when nobody is watching. So the next time you feel the urge to prove yourself, pause. Ask yourself, am I doing this for growth or for approval? And be honest. because that answer will guide your life. Focus on becoming someone you are proud of, even in silence. Build habits that strengthen you. Make decisions that align with your values, not with someone else's expectations. Because at the end of the day, you are the one who lives with your choices, not them. And when you truly understand this, something shifts inside you. You stop performing and you start living silence. Oh, people misunderstand silence so easily. They think if you are quiet, you are weak. If you don't respond, you are afraid. If you don't argue back, you have nothing to say. But listen, real strength is not in reacting instantly. Real strength is in controlling yourself when everything inside you is screaming to respond. Because let's be honest, reacting is easy. Anyone can raise their voice. Anyone can defend themselves in the heat of the moment. Anyone can try to prove a point. But not everyone can pause. Not everyone can hold their emotions, process them, and choose dignity over drama. That is power. You don't have to attend every argument you are invited to. Read that again in your mind. Not every comment deserves your reply. Not every criticism deserves your energy. And not every misunderstanding needs clarification. Sometimes the best response is no response at all. Why? Because when you react to everything, you become predictable. You become controlled by others. Someone says something, they get a reaction. Someone provokes you, then they get your attention. And slowly, they start controlling your emotional state. Is that what you want? To be managed by every random opinion that comes your way. Silence breaks that pattern. Silence says, I see what's happening, and I choose not to engage. Silence is not surrender. It is selection. You are choosing your peace. You are choosing your priorities. You are choosing to invest your energy where it actually matters. And here's something deeper. Silence gives you clarity. When you stop reacting immediately, you start observing. You begin to understand people better. You see their intentions, their insecurities, their patterns, and suddenly, things that once triggered you don't even touch you anymore, because you see them for what they are: temporary noise. But I know it's not always easy. There are moments when your ego feels attacked, moments when you feel misunderstood, moments when you want to stand up and say, no, that's not who I am. And in some situations, yes, speaking up is necessary. But in many situations, silence protects you more than words ever could. Because words once spoken cannot be taken back. But silence gives you time. Time to think. Time to choose wisely. Time to respond, not react. And here's the most powerful part: when you stay silent and continue improving yourself, your life starts speaking for you. Your actions become your voice. Your results become your argument. And trust me, nothing silences critics more effectively than undeniable progress. So don't rush to prove yourself. Don't rush to defend your name. Let people think what they want for now. Stay focused. Stay calm. Stay silent when it matters. Because not every situation deserves your words, but every situation deserves your awareness. And when you master that, you become unshakable. Protecting your energy is not just a motivational idea. It is survival in a world that constantly pulls at your attention, your emotions, your focus, and your peace. Because let's be real, every single day, something is trying to drain you. Conversations that go nowhere, people who complain but never change, opinions that don't even matter to your future. And yet, you give them your time, your mind, your emotional space. And here's the hard truth: your energy is limited. You don't have unlimited emotional fuel. You wake up with a certain amount of focus, patience, motivation, and strength, and everything you engage with either adds to it or takes from it. So the question becomes simple but powerful: why are you allowing the wrong things to drain the most valuable part of you? Think about it. One negative conversation can ruin your entire mood for hours. One unnecessary argument can steal your peace for the whole day. One toxic person's comment can sit in your mind like a weight you can't remove. And while you are carrying all of this, life is still moving forward. Opportunities are still passing. Your goals are still waiting. Protecting your energy means becoming selective. Not cold, not rude, but conscious. You start asking yourself, does this deserve my attention? Before you reply, before you react, before you engage, you pause. Because not everything deserves access to your mind. And listen carefully, your peace is not something to be negotiated. You don't trade it for approval. You don't sacrifice it to win arguments. You don't give it away just to prove a point. Because the moment you start doing that, you lose control of your inner world. You begin to understand something powerful. Just because someone is loud doesn't mean they are right. Just because something is urgent doesn't mean it is important. Just because people demand your reaction doesn't mean you owe it to them. And when you start filtering your energy like this, something beautiful happens. You stop feeling constantly tired for no reason. You stop carrying emotional baggage from random interactions. You stop overthinking every little comment people make. Your mind becomes lighter. Your focus becomes sharper. Your life becomes quieter, but in the best way possible. But let's be honest, this discipline takes practice.
At first, you will slip.
You will react when you shouldn't. You will give attention where you shouldn't. But slowly, awareness grows. And one day, you will notice something different. You will not feel the need to respond immediately. You will not feel the need to explain everything. You will not feel the need to prove yourself to every person you meet around. Instead, you will start choosing where your energy goes like it is precious because it is. And when you reach that level, people will notice something about you. You are calmer. You are more focused. You are harder to disturb. Not because life became easier, but because you stopped letting everything inside it control you. Growth doesn't always look exciting while it is happening. In fact, most real growth looks quiet, repetitive, and even invisible to others. And that is exactly why so many people quit too early. They expect applause in the middle of the process. When in reality, growth is built in silence, in discipline, in the moments when nobody is watching and nobody is clapping. Let's be real, everyone wants results, but very few are willing to respect the process. People want transformation overnight, confidence instantly, success immediately. But life doesn't work like that. Growth is not a moment, it is a repetition. It is what you do every single day. When motivation is gone, when excitement is gone, when no one is encouraging you, when it feels like nothing is changing. And that is where the real test begins. Because it is easy to work hard when people are watching. It is easy to stay focused when you feel inspired. But what about the days when nothing feels meaningful around? What about the days when progress feels slow? When doubt creeps in, when your mind says, maybe this is not working? That is where most people stop. But those who succeed, they continue. Growth happens in silence because silence removes distraction. No applause means no pressure to perform. No audience means no need to impress. It becomes just you and your effort. You and your consistency. You and your discipline. And in that space, something powerful starts to build character. Think of it like planting something. You don't see the roots growing, but they are there, spreading deeper every day. Strength is being formed underground before it ever shows above the surface. And when it finally does show, people think it happened suddenly. But you know the truth. You know the silent effort behind it. And here is something important: comparison kills silent growth. The moment you start looking at others, you start doubting your own pace. Someone looks faster, someone looks more successful, someone looks more confident, but you are not seeing their process. You are only seeing their results. And that illusion can destroy your patience if you let it. So stay in your lane. Focus on your own repetition. Focus on your own discipline. Focus on showing up even when it feels boring, even when it feels slow, even when it feels like nothing is happening around. Because that nothing is actually everything building inside you. And slowly, without noise, without announcement, without validation, you change. Your mindset strengthens. Your habits improve. Your reactions become calmer. Your focus sharpens. And one day you wake up and realize you are not the same person who started. And that is the beauty of silent growth. It never announces itself, but it always transforms you completely. Noise is everywhere. Everywhere you look, everywhere you listen, everywhere you scroll, there is something trying to pull your attention away from what actually matters. Opinions, judgments, comparisons, criticism, unnecessary advice, negativity disguised as concern. It never stops. And if you are not careful, you will start living inside that noise instead of living inside your purpose. Let me be very direct with you. Noise is not always loud.
Sometimes it is subtle.
Sometimes it sounds like, what will people say? Sometimes it sounds like you are not good enough yet. Sometimes it even comes from people close to you, wrapped in doubt, wrapped in fear, wrapped in their own limitations. And if you absorb all of it, you lose direction without even realizing it. Because here is what happens when you focus on noise. You start adjusting your life to people who are not even building your future. You start making decisions based on reactions instead of vision. You start hesitating instead of moving. You start explaining instead of executing. And slowly your purpose becomes smaller than your fear. But purpose is different.
Purpose is quiet but powerful. Purpose doesn't need approval.
Purpose doesn't ask for permission. Purpose doesn't wait for understanding from others.
Purpose just moves.
Even when no one believes. Even when no one claps. Even when no one understands the vision inside your mind. And listen carefully. When you are aligned with purpose, noise starts losing its power. The same comments that once disturbed you don't even enter your mind the same way. The same opinions that once made you overthink start sounding empty. Not because they changed, but because you changed. You begin to realize something very important. Most of the noise around you has nothing to do with your life. People are projecting their fears, their limitations, their frustrations. But you are not obligated to carry that. You are not responsible for carrying everyone's mindset on your shoulders. And the more you protect your focus, the more your clarity increases. Suddenly you are not confused about what to do next. You are not distracted by every new trend or every new opinion. You know what matters. You know what you are building. You know where you are going, even if others don't see it yet. But let's be honest, it takes discipline to ignore noise. Because noise is addictive. It gives instant stimulation. It makes you feel involved. It pulls you into conversations that have nothing to do with your growth. And the hardest part is realizing that every time you engage with noise, you delay your purpose a little more. So you start making a shift. You don't react immediately. You don't consume everything. You don't let every voice become part of your thinking. You start filtering. You start choosing. You start protecting your attention like it is something valuable because it is the most valuable thing you have. And in that space of protection, something powerful begins to grow inside you. Focus becomes sharper, decisions become clearer, distractions lose their grip, and your inner world starts to feel quieter even when the outer world remains chaotic. And you start noticing that your direction feels more solid, your steps feel more intentional, your mind starts aligning with something deeper that was always there, but hidden under all the unnecessary noise that used to occupy your attention and pull you away from what truly matters. When you begin to notice that purpose doesn't shout, but it keeps moving forward even when everything around you is trying to slow you down, and you start realizing that the real strength was never in reacting, but in continuing to walk forward while everything around you tries to pull you back, and you just keep going without needing to explain anything to anyone. Because the path itself starts to speak louder than words ever could. There is a moment in life when you finally understand something powerful. You don't need to convince the world of your worth. You don't need to explain your intentions over and over. You don't need to defend every step you take. Because at some point, your actions start speaking louder than anything you could ever say. And let me tell you something very real. People don't remember your explanations. They remember your results. They don't remember how hard you tried to describe your vision. And they remember what you actually built, what you actually achieved, what you actually became. That is the language the world understands best: results. But most people make a mistake. They spend too much energy talking about what they are going to do, what they are planning, what they are thinking, what they are capable of, instead of quietly doing it. And while they are talking, someone else is working. While they are explaining, someone else is building. While they are seeking validation, someone else is creating proof. And slowly, life shows a simple truth: words fade, but results remain. Now listen carefully. This doesn't mean you should never speak about your goals. It means you should not depend on words to create your identity. Because words are temporary. They can be doubted, ignored, misunderstood. But results are undeniable. Results don't argue. Results don't defend themselves. They just exist. And when your results start speaking, something interesting happens. The same people who doubted you become quiet. The same voices that questioned you start observing. The same opinions that tried to pull you down begin to shift. Not because you argued with them, but because reality replaced their assumptions. But here's the deeper lesson: focusing on results requires discipline and silence. You have to be comfortable not being understood in the beginning. You have to be okay with people not seeing your effort immediately. You have to continue working even when there is no recognition, no applause, no immediate reward. That is where real strength is built. Because results are not created in loud moments. They are created in repeated actions. In early mornings when no one is watching. In late nights when motivation is gone. In moments when quitting feels easier but you still continue. That is where your life starts shifting. And over time, something powerful begins to happen. Your confidence stops depending on opinions. It starts depending on evidence. You don't feel the need to prove who you are, you simply show it through what you do. Your work becomes your identity. Your consistency becomes your voice. And the most powerful part? You stop chasing approval completely. You stop trying to explain your journey to people who were never meant to understand it. You start trusting the process, trusting your effort, trusting your discipline. Because at the end of the day, no one can argue with a transformed life. No one can deny visible growth. No one can ignore undeniable progress. And when you reach that stage, you realize something deeply empowering. You don't need to say much anymore. Because everything you worked for has already started speaking for itself in ways that silence never could hide.